Hey guys, it's Jan. Today I'm going to show you guys how to improve the propeller transmission for your Super 2 chassis. And the first few things that you guys need to actually be able to start working on it is the parts. And the first part you need is the 1.4 millimeter hollow propeller shaft for Super 1 TZ. That's right, this one, 15205. And the only other part you really need is the hollow propeller shaft for the Super X chassis, item number 15234. And the premise behind the actual modification that we're actually about to do is based on a completely different chassis. We're doing this for Super 2, but this was inspired by a completely different chassis, which is VS, and I'll show you why. Okay, so here's a VS chassis, right? I already have it open. The propeller shaft is right there. As you can see, it's mounted. And one of the biggest things about the VS chassis is that it has a very good transmission. Now, one of the key factors is because of the position of the propeller shaft. Let's go ahead and see if I could show you exactly what makes it stronger than normal. Let's see if my camera can focus on it. Hopefully it will. There you go. You see that? This is the normal 15205 part, right? That's right. Yeah, I almost forgot what the item number is. 15205. And as you can see, the shaft is poking through this end, and we'll switch to this side too. You could see the same thing is happening on that side. Now what that does is that it makes it so that the gears on the propeller shaft are actually less likely to slide out of position. If you've been running Super 2 like I do all the time, you're going to notice that what happens with it is that it tends to slide out over like a few races maybe. It depends on how often you race, but I often race, so every once in a while it'll slide out or even actually start braking. Like if you do it this way, one of the other effects of running Super 2 is that your gears actually start to wear down over here. The particular propeller gear itself will start to wear down, which basically the teeth get torn up pretty bad. Or, like I was saying earlier, the pinions on the propeller shaft itself start to loosen and move out of position. Now, remember, this is a VS chassis, propeller that I had on my other car. And I'll show you the difference between the two on how they're actually mounted. Now, let's take this out. This one, I'll show you guys that it meshes pretty well. That's one of the reasons why a good transmission is a good transmission when your propeller shaft isn't wiggling back and forth, right? You want it tight, but not too tight. So you want good tolerance for the propeller shaft. Now, okay, I will spin it slowly so you can see how tight it is, right? It's not going back and forth, it's just spinning on its axis. Now, let's take the Super 2 one. It's tight, right? Let's try to take the VS and put it in the same spot. Now, what you're gonna notice is that it does not go in, right? We'll go back to VS and I'll show you. Take this, the same propeller. Try not to move. Ugh. All right. Propeller. Let's see if we could do this. There you go, right? Goes in there just fine, right? That's because the wheelbase of VS is shorter than Super 2, and thus making it easier for you to work on the transmission. That's the transmission itself is stronger, specifically on the propeller shaft side. Now, what we're gonna do is modify the Super X chassis propeller shaft so that it fits on Super 2. Now, after you do this, this same method also works on TZ, TZX, Super 1 even. What else? Even VS if you want to, but it's not necessary because the VS chassis propeller shaft is already good on its own. The same 15205. If you 15234, this is what we're going to use for the modification. Now, what you actually need is you need both of them, one only to measure the length that you need to cut off of the propeller, because if you compare the lengths, you see the Super X is about like 3 millimeters longer than the Super 2, or the normal propeller shaft that most other chassis use, because this is pretty much exclusive to Super X. Super X is the only chassis that uses this particular propeller shaft. These are the same diameter, what do you call it, shafts too, so they're interchangeable as long as you shorten it. And I don't know if anybody has done that. This is basically, I thought of this a couple of days ago and I decided to test it, and it works. So what you have to do is of course take it out of the package. Let's move the car off for a second. Basically, you can't just make the same cut on this over and over again. You basically, not necessarily the same cut, you can probably make the same cut repeatedly, but you cannot basically take one after you've fitted onto a specific Super 2 chassis, take one, just move it off to another one and then reuse it. You have to refit the pinions after you've set them on the chassis. Now, I've already opened this one. We could use this one for, oh no, not this one. This one is for what I had from earlier. This is the one that I've opened from earlier today, and use this for measurement of the chassis, how much, not of the chassis, but of the shaft that we're going to cut. And the tools you're going to need is basically just this, like some sort of tongs, as long as they lock. Like this one I got from Harbor Freight. Just look at your local hobby shop or hardware shop just to see if you could find something close. And a hammer. And right now the hammer I'm going to use is an iPhone 4 because it has a nice, well, I'll explain it later. That's not as important right now. This is an old part. If you look at the what do you call it, the packaging from this is from 1998, so these pinions are probably gonna be quite loose, so I'm not gonna use them. I'm gonna use the ones that are on the Super 2 or the normal propeller. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this off. Right, don't use the pinion puller, because the pinion puller will actually change the shape of the pinion itself. You can probably reuse this for other chassis, but if you have the new one, if you have a new Super X hollow propeller shaft from the new package, use the same blue ones. But if you got an old one like I did, what I suggest is for you to use the green one, the green gears from the Super 2, and the Super 1, Super 2, Super TZ chassis propeller shaft. Use those instead. Now, we're gonna do, I've taken it off. We are going to mark where the cut is going to be now. This, what you gotta do is you gotta line up the length that you want to cut off. Okay, so this is gonna be a little tough for me to see, just because of I'm trying to do two things at the same time, talk and cut. And what you gotta do is mark the position of where you're going to cut. Now, the easiest way to do that is to just scratch it, basically. Scratch the metal. You cut, right? You press and hold on this side, and then you scrape it. Basically, you're making a line right there. Now, I'm not sure if that will show up on the camera. Yeah, that's focused a little better. Yep, you see it? Now you're gonna cut from that line using a Dremel tool. Now, take the Dremel right here and then cut along that line. Now if it makes it easier for you to see, I am going to mark the area that I'm gonna kind of cut off. What you want to do is you want to cut it short so that you don't cut too much off and you make it a little, and you defeat the purpose of cutting it. Because if you cut it too short, then it'll be like you just made a normal Super 2 hollow propeller shaft. Okay. Now we're gonna go cut about that much off. Alright. Now I'm gonna wear some eyewear protection as well as a mask so that I don't have to worry about little particles getting into my eye. Okay, sorry if my voice is a little muffled now. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut. Make sure you use the Dremel cutting bit. Let me hold this first, this is important. Okay guys, now I've cut it off. Now you're gonna go compare the length. There you go. That's pretty long right there, which is okay with me. Let's go see if you could focus. There you go. The shaft is now that long. And you have to deburr the edge of the hole right here. It's going to be hard to focus. I'm not sure if the camera can do this. There you go. We're going to go deburr the edge of the propeller shaft by using a file. You know, just file towards the edge like this. Now we're going to take off the gears from the Super 2 propeller shaft. Because these gears are newer and they're stronger than the old blue ones. Yeah, see, I'm even having a hard time pulling this one off. Okay, I'm gonna try a little harder. Oh wow, it's not budging. Okay, I'm gonna use a little bit of rubber so that I don't damage the gears, but I still have grip. There you go, it's moving off. If you don't have a rubber band like I do, you could use the rubber piece that comes with some of the Tamiya parts like this, and just grab onto that pinion and then rotate it up like I just did just now. This is the old shaft. Set that one aside and then use this one. Now let's go hammer this into the new gears. Alright, so now that one is poking through. Let's focus a little bit more. Yep. Alright. Gonna do the other side. Now as you can see, I have the gears mounted on the shaft. This one has a little bit of dust. I'm gonna brush that off. Let's focus on that now. Yep. Okay, now that is poking through. Now this one is poking through quite a bit out, so which is okay actually. Now we're gonna go back to the Super 2 chassis. Let's see. Let's put it on. I have a feeling it's gonna be too short for now and we have to lengthen it. Oh, okay. So right now it's quite a bit long, which is all right with me actually. Okay, let's look over here. It fits just right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and push this one in a little bit further, or even push this one out a little bit more, because right now there's a lot of room on both sides. Okay guys, now I have it mounted. If you look closer over here, you have a lot of the propeller shaft sticking out, well, that's perfectly fine over here on this side. What you don't want is for a lot of it to stick out over on this side. Now this side has a lot less of the propeller sticking out. Let's look over here. Yeah, it has a little bit less on the other side, which is okay. That's what it's supposed to do, because if it's too long over here, what it's going to do is it's going to grind with a plastic that is actually supporting this gear over here. So now I'll show you guys how it spins. This is without any oil. Oh, hold on. That's a little too much. Yeah. So it spins just fine. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and oil the transmission again, specifically the what do you call it? The propeller shaft, because this one does not have any oil yet. Okay, now that's it. We now have a modified Super 2 propeller transmission. And it was already quiet before. You're gonna see is that it should now be quiet. It should be about the same. That's because the last time I did it, it was already tight. This one, the only reason why I'm doing it is to strengthen the transmission even more and make it even smoother. Let's go put this on. Right. Let's go put the motor back. You see how quiet that is? There you have it, guys. This has been my tutorial on how to improve your Super 2 chassis. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please like, subscribe, and share, and thanks for watching. Go race.